This is the John Hallett Podcast with John Hallett.
It's because the way we're living, we need to change it, make it change today. And
all
learn
learn from failure.
Maybe they just wanted it a little bit more than you. That's probably the fact.
And now your host, John Hallett.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We've got Jamie and Josh joining me today. We're going over a few different things. We're going to start off with something funny, but just a little teaser. Trying to be a little bit more prepared for these versus us just kind of really having a conversation, which is always fun, always something to talk about these days. But we're going to talk a little bit about changing the paradigm in martial arts in your school, and then kind of tying that into one of my passions, our country and freedom, and changing the paradigm in our political thinking, the way we think about politics. We're going to talk a little bit about the Stoics. We're going to talk about getting into shape and failure. Josh, stop making stupid faces. He can't even stop. He's just, it's just you're just,
I just look stupid.
Oh, you just look stupid.
I'm not even on camera yet.
All right, bring yourself up.
Oh, we'll come in.
All right, guys.
We're doing our thing.
You guys are doing your thing.
We are.
All right. We found something we think we're going to add to the gym. If you guys are interested in adding this to the gym, leave us a comment. Hit it, Josh.
Is this even possible?
I'm a Belgian champ.
I mean, this is a real.
The second category is called parkour, jump over obstacles.
I found this after
Based on two things, speed and style. You can do anything you want except running. So the fastest thing to do is, I think, galop.
What were you?
I'm ready.
Concentrate. We train for this. Hip rotation, no
He said this.
masturbation. Come on, let's go.
Okay, let's do it.
He's stressed.
Alright, this is a test room. After you, man. After you, please. Come on. After you. That's my competition. This horse is more powerful.
Josh, you gotta say
Become Belgian champion in every category. I tattoo the date of today or a medal on my booty. What do I want to see?
he prodded himself.
Boobs.
Fitness. I'm gonna start
What are you talking
there
about?
because no, this is amazing. I want this now.
Yeah, you're the instructor.
I will wear my sparkle sash shirt.
You
to
are
go
the
with it?
instructor of this.
And if I need a helmet, but it's got to be like one of those unicorn.
I mean, it's a
rainbow
low
ones.
startup. All you need is a couple of hobby horses. I mean,
know.
it's
Well,
not a
those
lot
like
of
I'm
overhead.
pretty sure my
Some.
parents had one from when I was little.
Yeah. So, are you really gonna add that? Are you being serious? 'Cause
Am I
slap
being
you.
serious, Josh?
I'll slap you.
Actually,
Okay.
Justin Prawant, one of our citizen defender and Krav Maga instructors, said, my first sleepover ever was when my little brother was going full tilt on his hobby horse and diggered and hit like a planter and like cracked his head open or something like that. So he got to like stay at his friend's house that he was at because, you know, the parents were probably in the ER or something. He's like, that was my first sleepover. No, that's just super funny.
It was
super
kind of
funny.
hilarious. The thing is that those grown ass adults thought that like he took it seriously.
They're legit. Like the little girls are in. They're legit.
Gotta get near that microphone. I gotta be able to hear you. Well, move the chair. It's okay. People aren't gonna mind if you do it. It's just live.
They'll deal with it.
She's giving
Yeah.
me the look. Later, I'm gonna get
Yeah,
into a
she's
serious
you
amount of
know.
trouble.
I mean, the only person listening is your fiance. So that's all you have to blow up. I mean, it's
yeah,
just
Brayden, we miss you. I mean,
yeah, it's
hope
like
you're
that's our one listener. So I mean,
just
I guess.
live. I mean, there's other listeners.
I mean, he might change his mind.
No,
I
he
don't
won't.
know. He's solid. I like him for now.
He's a good guy.
He is. He is. I can't wait for you two. You're gonna be happy. Going to be.
Yes.
Going to be. You're not happy now.
No, right? You're gonna be later.
Oh yeah.
Man, you hit us with some heavy topics to start today. I mean, the first one you mentioned, I was like, whoa. So, I mean, get us started. Let's
Yeah.
roll.
So you know, I don't know which one I want to pick first. I want to think. I'm going to start with the Stoics. Momente mori.
Okay.
Right? You're going to die. You're going to die. And living life to its fullest every day, you know, trying to remind yourself of that, I think, is really important. Sometimes, you know, things go wrong and you get mad And, you know, even last night, one of the garage doors broke, and you're just like, oh, like,
Oh my.
okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's out of my control. I'm like texting my wife, like, what are those garage door guys that we used last time? They were super good. I wish I could give them a free plug, but I still don't know their info because I ended up just making it work. Right? We ended up having a bunch of advanced students in my fitness class last night. I'm like, okay, got them all set and ready to go and over all the movements. And instead of waiting for the text from her, and I'm like, even if these guys can get, I'm just going to make it work. I'm going to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, all right. At first, when I texted my wife, I thought it was going to be a royal pain in the butt because the last time it broke, it was really bad.
And they're huge doors, dudes. I mean, those are
they're big commercial. They're heavy.
Yeah.
They're heavy. I was holding part of it up with my head, trying to
and it's not cheap
keep the sag out of it. That sucker was heavy. I'm like,
as a business owner, that stuff's never cheap, and it always sneaks up on you.
and if you can do it yourself,
the worst thing that can go wrong goes wrong, right? I mean, that's sort of
like
what.
your camera.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Before we got this started, it was just what can go wrong does go wrong sometimes. And
and what's in your control, what's out of your, what can you control?
Right.
And I'm like, I can't control her texting. She's got a super busy day.
Yeah.
Whatever, and you know, I make it work, and I'm going, and of course I take the top off the Jeep, the doors off the Jeep for summer. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Might as well when you have that Jeep. But of course it's raining now, and you're like, great, awesome, and it was in my control to go get
You broke
the
bolt,
gorilla
right?
ladder. What's that?
You broke the bolt? Is that or is this another?
No,
problem?
the wheel, whatever you want to call it, the wheel came off the track.
Oh,
So now the door's sagging down. That
yeah,
sucker's heavy, so
Yeah.
even just one wheel, you know. And I didn't want to bring it down and try to fight it, you know, and try to bring it all the way down. I'm like, if I just get a step ladder out and I push it up, it's going to maybe be easier. I don't want to risk kinking something or something else going
Making it
wrong.
worse
I'm
for
going to
her,
fix
yeah.
it right where it's at,
Right.
even though...
So do you have a hard time with control? Like, this is what it's about, right? Like, controlling what happens in life. And people, I know a lot of folks, and I'm not going to mention names, who feel like they have to be in control of every situation, everything that's going on in their life. And if they're not. Like, it has really hard, like, they can't deal with it.
It's like complete chaos.
Yeah, so where would you put I'll go through each of us. Where do each of us think that we fit in that, you know, going to the Stoics? I mean, because you can't control it, and that's what I learned early on. And I have a B-type personality, and it kind of drives my wife crazy because I'll just be like, it's going to be okay, right? And I'll kind of go into that ultra-optimist and not want to control the conversation. But she likes to make sure everything gets done, right? I mean, and high-driven people are like that. So I would say I'm not one of those. Where would you put yourself? Be honest. No, you can be honest here. Just do it.
I like to be in control.
Okay.
But it's not, like, I know there's certain things I can't be in control of.
Yeah.
Right? I can't be in control of other people's actions or what they say, but I can be in control of mine. But when it comes to, like, my work or how tidy everything is, I want to be in control, and it has to be perfect. As perfect as it can be.
You.
Well, I'm definitely an optimist.
Yeah.
But I like to take... I don't like to rely on other people.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Sure.
You know, and if I can, because I'm like, I'm just going to get these guys, and I don't want to deal with it. It's been a stressful enough week.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have these guys come and fix it. And then I'm like, if they're not fixing it, they don't get here. Now I'm delaying.
Yeah.
And it's going to be 8 o'clock at night, 8:15. Now I'm going to get the step ladder because the gorilla ladder is never where I need it.
Yeah.
You know, there's no justification by 2. Just like if you're poor and you can't pay for YouTube.
Seriously, you're gonna bring that one up again?
I mean, if you can't pay for paid premium YouTube.
Listen, now that I know it's gonna be a business,
We're on
expense, then
YouTube. You can't
I can write
even
it
pay
off.
them.
Well, I'm using yours through ClearSky, so I'm not worried about it. We don't have to go through the commercials.
So, where was I? I didn't, you know, I like to... I don't want to be... Now I'm going to be here later at night waiting for these garage door repairmen. Yeah. You know, you give it 5 minutes, like, okay, great, thing broke. What's in my control? Well, I can go get the stepladder. I can leave these advanced people here. They don't really need me. They got the workout explained, everything else. I actually had another instructor. We brought Sarah, one of our She's been doing fitness with us for a long time. She's one of our empowering instructors, Krav Maga instructors, and I'm like, hey, will you just keep an eye on those guys? Give them a little bit of motivation. But go get the ladder, fix it, and then, you know, Nick, another Krav Citizen Defender instructor, is like, I'll get them warmed up for you, get that next class going.
Support group.
And by, we have great people here. I love everybody in here except my podcast producer. Jamie, take over.
All right.
She's going to break it. Get back over there.
Don't take my job!
Josh already broke the stuff earlier.
Oh, it was panic. Like, it set in. It was out of my control. But
Yeah.
you just kind of got to work through the kinks, right?
Yeah.
I was working through the kinks last night, trying to figure out, you know, how am I going to get this done, right? Unfortunately, you had a support group, and then you got there, but it was late. And as a business owner, you don't realize, like, well, people who don't own businesses realize that when something goes wrong, it's not easy on a small local business, right? Big company, you just make the phone call and things usually get fixed. But when it's run just by you, you're like, it's just expensive, right? All those things
it all adds up. It's just like everything else in life. But you know, finding the Stoics, and then there was something I used a lot. It was we talked on a short. I think it was on a short. I don't think it was on the podcast about Mushin, no mind. I actually did pretty good. I think right here is where you should do your job, and it's a good short on what I did, and then finding the Stoics for years and years. I'm going back to Taekwondo and kind of having that no mind, that Mushin, but I would create a mantra, and my mantra was live or die, live or die. And then finding the Stoics of momente more, like you are going to die. That really helped me. Like if I'm in the zone, like sometimes, right, I'm not. You're sparring to help people get better, but if I'm going to spar for me, I will use different mantras, but that's the one that I come back to time and time and time again to clear my mind, you know, Mushin, no mind, that I want to be able to clear it. I don't want to be thinking, here comes a straight punch. I don't want to be thinking they're about to do this. I just want to have a clear mind and rely on my training at those points. You know, you can't be thinking about every little thing that's going to be coming at you. You got to react. No mind. It just happens without thinking, without that conscious thought. So I've used that, and it was one that I like, or is self-affirming, like, okay, maybe I was on the right track. You know, saying something. You know, Jocko uses good. When I stumbled upon that, I'm like, oh, I like that, because I would always tell students, they're like, how is it? Jamie would be doing something, and I'm like, you know, that's good. That's good.
That's good.
That's good. And they're like, perfect. I'm like, well, it's not black belt. It's good. Just keep going.
Right.
It's good. You're not totally off track, but it's not perfect. You know, little sayings that you find.
Sure.
And you're like, huh, okay, well, am I on the right track? Or am I totally on the wrong track of the way I think about life? And, you know, that's difficult, I think. I think it's one thing as an instructor sometimes, and being involved, like being a gym owner, it is really hard to come down and then be the dad. Because you're going, and you're training, and you're trying to help people. And I definitely have a teaching persona, and how I teach and instruct a class is different than how I'm parenting. You know, that's totally different. I mean, some people are exactly the same. Maybe they're the drill sergeant dad, they're the drill sergeant there. You know, I'm different, but I really like that saying to come back and remind yourself that I'm going to die. Like, this is not the end of the world.
Sounds macabre, but I mean,
and when you even look at it even more, to where you didn't quite get it your first month here, was suck less.
Yeah, I did not like that. I was like, you just can't tell people they suck, John.
But you're like,
we had a full conversation about it.
You're just trying like suck less, and you convinced me to take up this. Like the biggest thing was there was some suck less stickers for our students, and we got rid of the stickers. for, what do you think? How long was that, Jamie?
A couple months. That was you?
Yeah, it was
No,
me.
she's mad. Now she doesn't like you even more.
Why do we want to tell people they suck? But you're like, we're not saying they suck. It's just time to suck less. But you're saying they suck, John. Shut up, Josh.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, I'm going to die. Well, just get out the gun.
I mean, if you know, but the idea is in the Stoics is that if you're going to die, what was that movie? It was The Shawshank Redemption. Either get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's kind of what you're touching on, right? I would rather live than die. I mean, you're dying already. You might as well go out and spend all your time living that you can.
Yeah.
And that was a choice I made just recently when I joined here. Remember I told you a story? I was just sitting at home. You know what I mean? I hate to admit it, but I don't get out a lot, right? And I don't make a lot of friends, and it's easy to become a shut-in. It's really easy.
Well, it's really easy. I'm going to give you more crap because I love you.
Thanks.
He loves you.
It's easy to get caught in the algorithm or the game, right? How much of that time hanging out at home was spent on that thing? What the heck is? I don't even know.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
I'm
Like
good.
No.
how much? He's like, I'm good.
No.
I'm good, dude.
You're
I
like-
routinely am in first place all the time.
I mean, I guess if you're about to die, you're like, hey, Josh, you were good.
Right.
You were good at Call of Duty,
But
but you got. I mean, you've lost a bunch of weight.
Oh yeah.
Still like on the path and sucking less, but another 5 years, easy, another 20, 40 pounds.
Sure.
Right? So now your life expectancy is going down because you're good at Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I get if that's the way you want to
gotta
go
find something
down.
to fill that time. There's a void there, right? There's nothing going on, right? And people fill it with something to try to feel better about it. You see it all the time, don't
see
you?
it all the time.
Yeah. So when people come in, I mean, like, you got any examples that you can throw at us that you
I'll
kind of
think
help?
about it, but
Yeah.
putting me on the spot.
I am. Well, it's
I'm
a
getting
live
highs.
show, right? She's getting nervous, but we've talked about this a million times, and Jamie says she sees it all the time. People are, so comfortable, want to stay home, and then you start filling that void with stuff, and it's video games. Or
Yeah,
it's
you're not going to
esports.
beat the algorithm. Like, just shut it off.
Yeah.
There's always. That's another conversation of like, or it was a short idea.
Yeah.
Of like, are you just scrolling looking for the next you're going to learn another self-defense technique by scrolling and going, I got it. Okay, yep, I understand. And you're suffering from Dunning-Kruger, but you're just looking for the next thing. And we can all get caught up in it. I was just like looking at hunting camping gear and a little bit of like, oh, what's cool? Like, what's the next thing that's going to come up in your feed? That might be it. And like a lot of times it's YouTube because I do think their algorithm is better than Instagram.
Yeah, and I
especially
think
if you're like,
they're
hey, I just watched a camping video.
Yeah.
And I'm going to scroll up. I want to see another camping video. I don't want to see hobby horse championships.
Like, I don't even.
But it's so entertaining.
It is. Like, that's the stuff. That's like, what?
People are filling their void with hobby horses.
I mean, they're getting out, so they're ahead of.
Hey,
that
you're
group.
doing something and you're involved, and it seems like he's got a buddy and they're having fun. I'm
Right,
like,
there's
go
community,
for it.
And he's dancing around, so there's movement. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
We're
I mean,
making fun of it, but
if-
they've done something, right?
I mean, if there's a need here in Castle Rock,
We'll lead the
I
way,
mean,
baby,
we're like
provide
Josh
it.
will teach it.
right?
I mean, as a business owner,
We're
I'm
treated
always
like a
looking for the
rodeo too,
next
ladies and
video.
gentlemen. Now in the stall is Big Red, and Jamie comes out.
Oh,
would
you just
die
did.
before that.
That would be your. We'd have to. She's got to have a
Oh.
call sign sooner or later.
Big
A
red.
call sign?
Big Red.
She's
She's like the
gonna
bubble gum.
Oh my gosh. I just think of Bring It On, that cheer movie. Because that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Oh my gosh.
Big Red.
Go Big Red.
You know?
Took a turn.
Had to take a
Yeah.
turn.
But I think if you can live that way,
Yeah.
it's going to remind you, or like, it's changing the paradigm, the way of thinking in martial arts or even political.
Yeah.
And people just get caught up into that fixed idea. I've been voting Democrat. I've been voting Republican. Like, I got to tell you, like,
Falling out.
I think I'm in the middle. When you, like, I think sometimes people think I'm, like, ultra conservative, but I am not. I am really liberal on. I'm like, I don't care what you do,
Yeah,
Josh.
you take some liberal stances sometimes. And
I'm freedom of choice. Like whatever. Like it's America.
Yeah.
And that's where I think sometimes conservatives get to like, dude, it's freaking America. It's your choice to do whatever you want to do, as long as you're not hurting other people.
What happened to the liberal Republicans and conservative Democrats from the 80s? That was a real thing. You would have conservatives on the Democrat side. You'd have liberals on the Republican side. And then, I won't mention what happened to Bill Clinton. But, prior to the Clinton administration, it was easy to walk across the aisle because there really wasn't an aisle, right? And now we were just given these two diametrically opposed parties. And you either have to fit into one or the other. And it's just two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, it becomes like the tribal talks that we've talked about. I think we need to change it. And that's where, in the past, especially growing up in liberal Massachusetts, it's sometimes like conservatives not going to get elected. I mean, there's very few. I mean, my memory's terrible on that stuff. But, there was a guy that I had worked for years, Bill Cameron, Nantucket bike shop owner. And I'd worked for him as a kid and then worked for him through my father's construction company, renovating the bike shops, renovating his house and doing all sorts of work for him. He would tell me, especially now that I'm, out of high school and working in the construction field and talking to him, you're like, okay, this is who you need to vote for, John. I'm like, it's like, this is the better guy. Like, look, that guy's probably not, like, this guy is better than this guy. Especially in the prime, like, don't vote for that. That guy is the word, like, that guy has more on the agenda that's going to help us, help Nantucket Island, this type of thing. And, some of them he knew personally that this is the better candidate that's going to get more of what we're going to get done. This other guy, he's off the reservation potentially, and that's like even back then where most of the time militarily I would vote conservative, but there was time I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this guy's advice that, I respect. I mean, I'd worked for him from when I was in 5th grade. Like I used to be there, as he would tell me, like, we were always kind of, my friend Pete Hedden and I were always like a little afraid of him. Like he was Italian, so we're like always mafia. But he was a very serious guy. Like he was serious.
Oh yeah.
Like he wasn't this happy. He wasn't Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci could be scary.
Yeah, he can be scary, but he can be funny.
Yeah.
Depending on the movie. But I would be the runner to the lawyer's office for somebody fell off their bike and they're gonna sue. And he didn't want even his managers getting a hold of this, or maybe they're settling, whatever. I have no idea. I never opened. But he's like Johnny was the only one I would trust to go down there and run it because I knew he wouldn't open it. Right. I sent one of these managers. A lot of them were in college. Some of them were out of college, but they were working on the islands to make money and go back to college. He wouldn't trust those guys. He would let me run it. And I'm like, I don't know, Bill's just said to bring it down to the lawyer's office. Okay.
It's not my business.
Get on the bike and bring it down there and hand it off and then make sure it got in the right hands. Like, okay. It's delivered. I did my job.
And that sounds like ultra small town politics, right? I mean, that is about as small town as you can get living on an island like that. So it's interesting the way you talk about it is everybody knowing everybody that's running for office. Right? I mean,
yeah, and even go back into Boston. I mean, you look at Nantucket; it's such a hub.
Yeah.
I mean, what's her face was just on. Biden's wife was just on the island. I saw her on Instagram, catching up on what Jamie and my wife send me. Is usually when I'm on there. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, I get 8 things that they're all funny, but it was funny because one of the things they both sent me, I sent them right before because I was just like, looking. Spent a few minutes, see what's on Instagram, and I was like, a little bit, I was looking for Jeep mirrors.
He looks for the weirdest things.
He's just fine.
Jeep mirror here.
I'm like, what are those guys? I'm like, they had a cool. And then I was like, whoa.
How much?
$300 for Jeep mirrors? Okay. Nope, I'm just going to get the part for the one I was.
Smart mirror?
I'm like, no. And the company actually, Rugged Ridge, shout out to them, their customer service and their warranty.
Woo-hoo.
And I'm like, all right, hey, they're sending me the part. they're like, yeah, it's designed to fail so we don't wreck the Jeep. The bolt that goes into your windshield hinge that holds the mirror is designed to fail. We'll send you out a new one, no cost. And I'm like, oh, wow, awesome. But I was like, damn, this mirror set, like I broke. I need it. I've got it duct taped right now. Looks super awesome. But it's so hot here in Colorado. The duct tape is heating up so much, it's falling off. Oh, yeah, so it usually lasts the ride for 5 minutes to my house or back to the gym. And then you leave it parked in the gym parking lot, and it's just, whoa, it's just down. But that's how hot it is. It's just heating up so much. The duct tape is failing. It's actually not duct tape, it's Gorilla Tape. Maybe the Gorilla guy. I mean, yeah, it's great, but man, you put that in the heat on the metal and the windshield. I got some of it on the windshield, some of it in the metal, and it's even coming off the mirror part. It's like just coming. It's just heating up so much.
You need to treat your Jeep a little nicer.
Yeah, you can put some goo stuff on it. It'll take the glue off. I'm not worried about it.
Just saying. How many times have we heard like something's busted on a Jeep because I was using it? So he's living the life. I'll say that. He's living the life.
He bought it to use it.
Right. I got it. Let's get on the outside moment, tear this thing up.
Yeah, you just call customer service.
As long as it keeps
right.
Yeah. Well, God, I don't want to roll it. God, there's some people that do way crazy. I'm like, it is my daily driver until you get it paid off, and then I'm going to keep it. And,
good. Yeah, just play it.
Once it's paid off, keep it and get a truck. So I miss a truck, but. I think, back to changing the paradigm in our political, like, you've got to do something. I think it was a Stoic quote that I read from the Daily Stoic. If you guys are interested, check him out. Ryan Holiday, fantastic. He's got a great story. He was just on Joe Rogan. No, he was just with Jocko. He was just on Jocko's podcast. Very interesting. Kind of the backstory of him was really interesting. But, oh gosh, where was I going with that?
You're talking about the Stoics, and you're getting back to it, and you go to this website.
Yeah, you can go to the Daily Stoics. Yeah, I got sidetracked. They're great. But in our political structure, like, everybody's just so fixed mindset that how do we get across that and bridge for what's great for America? I had read something like, the quote is wrong, but paraphrasing, if good men just sit by and let evil, all they have to do is just be evil and they're going to prevail. Mm-hmm. And that's part of like why I want to speak out on this podcast, create this podcast. There's multiple reasons we've talked on this podcast before of why when you proposed it to me that I said I would do it because I had never gotten off my butt to maybe even do this video diary for my kids. And doing it, and now I'm like, the podcast is it, and that's another, whole, podcast in and of itself. But
yeah, I think what we're seeing right now, and I completely agree, is we have all the. I think we're seeing the epitome of like greed and evil right now in our political system because they've been in it for so long. They're not being, out elected. They're just being reelected for, years. And now it's, I can make a career out of this. I'm a multi-millionaire. And we're not getting young, able men and women, elected in there to meet maybe in the middle on these. Because a lot of young people, they don't have the same policies as the people that are 80, 90 years old right now.
Yeah, and then...
That's just my thought. Yeah. They're just... It was meant to be the people elected so that these electors, did I say that right? Go in, do the job, and then they leave because that's what they were elected to do. And then you have new people come in. Yeah. But right now what we have is
people becoming millionaires.
Not going to name names, but the president who's been in politics his whole life.
Yeah.
Right? It's greed and it's evil and it's, okay, you're done. Let someone else that's younger and able-bodied to do it step up.
Yeah, and then usually when they get elected, people get rich. I didn't know that was a thing. So
I didn't know either.
There's a lot of people who end up getting elected who end up becoming millionaires later, right? There's book deals, there's all kinds of...
Well, part of the problem...
you can get.
I think a big part of the problem is some of these offices, even you look at how much... the governor is worth here in Colorado.
Over billions, I think.
Yeah, it's a
With
lot.
an S at the
It's
end.
Yes.
It doesn't like what happens to the common person. They can't get elected because in order to get elected, you have to be a millionaire. And now we're just dealing with the elite versus the average person. And they're going to say they're not smart enough. And I'm like, if we had, I was actually talking to my hygienist the other day and just, you know, the news. She's like, I watched something, I forget what she was saying, you know, and I don't even want to get involved. And I'm like, but you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
We need the real news. It's not this political spin. I mean, we've talked about it before. That how about give people the facts and let them make up their mind? It's not that freaking complicated for the most part. Or there are some, you know, political things of like, what are we doing with China and Taiwan? Like, yeah, you might need to bring in a board, a panel of people to decide what's the best course of action in our government. And maybe that's not something for the common people, or like it's strategic. We can't be letting that out in what we're planning on doing for our national security. But there's so much that's just give us the facts. Let's just go with like the hot topic over the last couple of years is the COVID vaccine. How about you just give us the facts and lay it out to people versus you've got to do this if you don't do this. I mean, they were like, you're dirt. Like they were making it, if you don't get it, you're basically a rat, you know, like.
You're less than equal to human is what they were comparing it to. So
that's not the facts.
Right.
I think we just need the facts.
But if you bring the facts out, then there has to be, we were wrong, sorry.
Oh, no.
I don't think ever see that.
And I think that's a really good segue, unless you have something to add to. No, I mean, you had a thought. You look like
I've lost it now.
You lost it?
Yeah.
No, it's just not me.
Yes. No, I mean, there was
I just lose stuff all the time. I'm like, whoa, where did it come? Squirrel!
Shiny.
In there, what did you say? See, now I was like squirrel.
Yeah, see, you.
And then I was like,
squirrel.
Well, no, it would. If we present the real facts, then we would have to admit we were wrong, and we would have to apologize.
Yeah, and
can't lose face.
And I think that's part of this conversation that I wanted to have, is in martial arts, in particular, because that's my career, that people won't admit that they're wrong. Like my friend Jeff Jimmo, like it's been a while that I've had him out, want to have him out again to do a seminar sometime soon. I like coming to your gym because you let me do whatever I want. You don't put parameters on. So many martial arts school owners will say, don't do this, this, and this. Don't make me look bad. Don't do this and make this technique that we do and we coach. I'm just looking for the best possible. That's my path. Was I left Taekwondo and Hapkido. I was looking for something better, more practical. I found that in Krav Maga. And now I'm out on my own, you know, very small, renting space. But we had a Taekwondo class. And when I went to Krav Maga training, I think we found something better. I will do this Taekwondo class as long as it's making some money and I'm not losing money. I'm not going to keep teaching it where we're not even paying the rent at this little, you know, a little health club here. Never mind the overhead, you know, that you have in a common commercial lease. I told them that. I found something better and I want.
Did they resist or did they accept?
Oh no, God, I think of this guy, like, it was funny because he was like, I never listened to this loud music, but now I'm listening to Metallica on my way to Krav Maga. I'm gonna forget his name. They voted the oldest guy in class.
Yeah.
You know, we had about, you know, probably 10 or 12 total Taekwondo members on Little Nantucket Island, and they all voted to go to Krav Maga.
Wow, so that was pretty universal.
And I was like, oh, sweet.
Sort of rare.
Because I didn't really want to keep doing it. I'm like, I found something better. I want to follow that path. And that's how I feel about Citizen Defender now. Yeah. You know, we're doing these things and there's some holes in Krav Maga. and go, hey, we're going to fill some of these holes that we think we have found, like that we know that they're in there. They're even more apparent doing Citizen Defender. Well, we're going to add this here. And like, hey guys, I think this is a good thing to add into what we do. I mean, even like go back to Jeff Jimmo, things I pick up, that's not Krav Maga, that's stuff I learned through Jeff. That, hey, we're going to add this in. This is more MMA. You know, is Krav Maga the base here? Absolutely, it's a great foundational thing, but then you can add in. It's where Bruce Lee, like Way of No Way. Hey, it's mixed martial arts is more, you know, the popular way. Like, we're just doing mixed martial arts, like whatever works. But I think a lot of school owners can't admit and go, hey, I think we found something, this is better. The gun industry, if you're going to speak specifically to Citizen Defender, of, hey, what we've been selling you isn't really the way. It's not the best thing that you can do. Yeah, Jamie just slowly put her cup down. Take that out, producer.
No, it's live, John. But you're drawing a parallel between martial arts and politics, right? It's outside of the things that they've always known, so they don't want to do it because they'll lose face or get embarrassed, or everything that they politicked on all the way through is now different. And then the media starts spinning it as like, you don't stick to your own moral compass, right? You don't stick to the issues that you're after, which then forces our politicians to always stay on one path all the time. They can't conceive that they could change, right? I mean, you either follow the party line or you don't.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what you're saying, is if you have to follow the martial arts line or you don't, and then that's why you adopted Krav, right? Because you want to be able to go outside of those boundaries, bring in the things that worked really, really well. And I think he's doing that. I mean, that's why I'm still going here. You know what I mean? I mean, you're covering all those things. It's self-defense. It's, you know, being able to be a fighter with a gun, and then just the health aspect of it, right? Get up and start moving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
it
it's...
makes you mentally strong, too.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that a lot with the kids and some of the... You teach the women's classes, and do you find that being one of the things you have to teach most is the mental toughness or the physical?
Both.
Yeah.
But it's... Women and... Obviously, kids are different, and then men are obviously different, but...
Oh, yeah.
Women, I find they don't want to get hurt, so you got to teach them, okay, well, I'm going to show you how to do this not to get hurt, right? But then this is a good example. Just on Tuesday, you know, I was doing a drill where you're starting on the ground, but there's two people, and one's harassing you as you're getting up. And I noticed, like, it's like little taps. There's just like little taps, not real, like, actually feeling what it feels like to get really tapped with a Thai pad, right?
Yeah.
Creating that stress scenario. It's more mental, I think.
So they don't want to get out of that lane. They don't want to, like, veer off, right?
Right. But if you always reference, like, hey, you gotta imagine your kids are there. You can't just leave. You gotta fight through it.
Yeah.
Then you tend to sometimes see them like, oh, yeah, my kids are here. I gotta protect them. But it's mental and physical.
Yeah.
For women.
It's just hard, right? No matter who you're teaching. And then you got to evaluate that with each and every student, so...
Yeah, and each student's different, so...
Yeah. But again, we just don't want to leave what we're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's it, too, with our politicians. They've been so comfortable with that, knowing that they get reelected by saying these things instead of doing things, right?
Or just doing the right thing.
Right. Well, I mean, that's something people are, you know, this is the right thing. No, this is the right thing. And it's like, we can't agree on, like, what the color green is. You know?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I'm sure there's money involved,
well, this
too,
is what I
they
thought.
Oh, yeah. Let's not forget the cash
Let's
part
not
of it, right?
forget.
Yeah.
Their alliance is with someone that's paying them, so...
Yeah, well, people give you money for your campaign. You owe them something, right?
Yep.
And the more money you give, the more you owe them.
That's why I think it should be grassroots. Like, do it off of, like, podcasts, do it off of, like... We should take money out of politics. That's been said. Like, take the money out of politics, but there's so much spin and so much money.
If you take the money out of politics, the only people that can run are the people that have enough money to do it. So you'll have nothing but billionaires putting up their own cash. So it's like, how do you fight that battle?
Sad, it was
they can't. Like, you can't.
I mean, how are you going to pay for all the ads? How are you supposed to get print media? How
you
are
can't.
Supposed to get your team. I mean,
you can't. It's got to be organic. But then you get into the problem of, oh, we're just going to spin the algorithm. And that goes to where I think these big companies, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, is there another one? I mean, Instagram,
It's
Meta,
X.
whatever.
It's X now.
Yeah, and it's X, whatever. That I think there needs to be more regulation on them. That they are in such control of the narrative of what information is getting out, that they can control it with their algorithm, and I can take my company and I can influence millions of people, and just by throwing in something into the algorithm and suppressing somebody else. It's like I think Robert Kennedy is being suppressed.
Oh, by far. He's too dangerous for the liberal side, because he's showing that
And
liberals can think conservatively slightly, right? And that conservatives can think liberal.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so dangerous. That's why they're pushing him away.
And I think that's a danger. I think we need to change. Get your head out of your butt, America. Stop I don't want to deal with it. You're going to be dealing with a lot worse if you don't wake up and at least get on fact check and not go, oh, it's fact checked. Oh, who's checking the fact checkers? We need real news. We just need to get the information out in an unbiased way. Take the money out of it so the big pharmaceutical companies aren't freaking controlling, because we're the big advertiser on this network, whatever. That's the stuff we need. We need to stand up and make our voices heard, instead of just going, it's going to be better. I can't change it. Oh, well, I have no power. I think the majority of Americans are saying that. Yeah. Instead of going, wake up. No, do something. Look for other news sources.
Did you happen to catch Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, you gotta know your American history and where we came from. And I don't think that's taught as much in school. Oh, that's so funny. I was telling Braden this the other day, because I took a college American history class in high school. But I transitioned, so I was in just the normal history, American history, and then the teacher switched, because it was the same teacher. She switched me. But I said it's interesting because the lower level, for whatever reason, only starts at the Civil War. So you missed that entire lead up to American history. Sure. But the college, the more advanced class, started right at where before the founding fathers came over to America. Right. So I just thought it was interesting. I was like, well, why is this just normal class starting here and you're missing all of this, but the higher advanced class is starting where it needs to be?
Great question. Did you guys happen to catch Ice Cube talk to Tucker Carlson? They drove through LA together.
Yeah.
And Tucker Carlson asked him, he's like, have politicians done anything for the town he grew up in? Because that's what they were driving through. And he goes, of course not. Look at it. It's gotten worse. It's the same or worse. And he goes, it's because politicians don't care. Your donors are who you end up taking care of, right? People that gave you the most amount of money. He goes, they've only been taking care of the issues that were important to the people that gave them the money. They don't care about the normal people. And Ice Cube he went from a thug to, it was true. I mean, he was a thug that became a rap artist who has now become a poster child for being able to put your life together, right? And pointing out the problems of society, because none of those people they make all these promises, but they only give the effort to the people that give them money. And that was his, if I had to distill it into that statement, it was pretty wise, right? And it was a really wise statement, because he can see it, right? He's lived, poorest of the poor, richest of the rich.
Great.
So
and I guess my point was, going back to you, instead of just sitting around and saying, well, I guess it'll get better, that's for someone else to deal with. No, learn your history, do something about it, because it's the people that are going to change the things. In my opinion, I think, as long as politicians
if you want to donate to John for president, go to...
Yeah.
We've got to start a give
campaign.
Give something, so we can be like, John needs money with no favors attached, all right? So...
Yeah, we need to make that change, but,
it's gonna, as long as there's money involved in politics,
it's gonna be them.
It's gonna be whoever has the most money.
Yep.
yeah, I think that needs to change, and people need to speak up. You know, you're
so
just
hard.
what?
It's like,
Yeah, what do you replace talk to people, share good podcasts. I mean, there's plenty of stuff out there. The amount of media, but you've got to, filter through different things and go, is this a good source? Is this guy spinning it to the left or the right side?
When I'm looking for stuff, trying to find information, I go through the search engines. The first thing they give me is something totally opposite of what I'm looking for most of the time, as though they're trying to influence what I'm thinking during just a general Google search. And Google's famous for just trying to feed you, quote, an ad, but that ad could be for a political opponent or an idea that you don't agree with, but they keep putting that imagery in front of you all the time. Mm-hmm. And I hate that they're acting like, they say they're public square for stuff, a lot of the social media stuff, but they're not, because they're acting as publishers. Because if you control the content that goes out, you're a publisher, which would mean you're subject to all kinds of different things, right? I mean, it's just not a public square thing anymore. And I think Musk was trying to change that with Twitter X or whatever they want to call it. I don't even know what to call them anymore. What are you going to call it? An X? I sent out an X.
No, I think they're just changing their logo, right? Aren't they? Or like his company's X or whatever. It was one of his the whole thing.
Like
SpaceX.
And this is just X and all that stuff. So who knows what he did? Maybe
I
he's
think
got
he
some
just likes the
master
letter.
plan. Yeah, that way it's, who knows? He's another one of those eccentric billionaires. It's like, you know what? Going to space. You know what? I'm going to buy me a social media platform.
Yeah, he's threatened to buy Instagram. Did you hear that?
Thing is he could, right?
And
I don't think the SEC
wouldn't bat
will
an
allow
eye.
it.
He has billions of dollars to the point where he'll never spend all that in a lifetime.
But he's also a dude. Well, he's the kind of guy that spends those billions of dollars on something else. I mean,
Yeah,
he
but
does
then he's
billion-dollar
making it
acquisitions.
back.
That's fine. I mean, I'm cool with that. But he reinvests in himself all the time, and he did kind of lift that veil on the control for Twitter had.
Oh yeah.
Especially during the election. So that kind of freaked out the establishment, right?
Oh yeah.
And who's this establishment group? Who are they? What? It's like you always say they're in control and they are doing it. Until we can put a name on it, it's just platitudes, right? So who's actually doing this stuff? When can we put a name on it? How can we identify them? And that's what these kind of shows do. We're there to identify those things and say, this person is doing this and it's bad. Or in our opinion, it's bad. Yeah. We don't want to get sued, right? You gotta say like allegedly and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because
well, I think the one thing I do agree with Elon is the free speech, because that's what we were entitled to. And he's a big believer, in the human race and advancing it and staying here.
Change it, yeah.
And one thing you need in order to do that is you have to have free speech. So I think that was one of his main points of buying Twitter, was like, stop censoring, let people say what they want, whether you agree with it or not.
He proved that one side was overwhelmingly more tech savvy with that than the other.
Yes.
And the denials that it was happening, is that, once you've proven that they're lying about that stuff,
if you look at Facebook and Google, they're not in the middle. They're more on the liberal side of things. So it's like these, and people on that side don't want to admit that things are being censored. To what degree? People were seeing their analytics go down, seeing their message not reach people. You could see that stuff. But Google, Robert Kennedy Jr., as you guys were discussing.
What's the first thing that came up?
Wikipedia. It doesn't see. I'm not gonna. I didn't want to open it.
Yeah.
There's actually about RFK Jr. That looks like there's a couple. It almost looks like ads. The Times of Israel. RFK on people to blame for COVID. There's Robert Kennedy at Twitter, and then NPR. RFK Jr.'s presidential campaign is driven by conspiracy. Next one from Politico.
That's
RFK is our brother and uncle. He is tragically wrong. PBS. RFK Jr. appears to be before Congress as his comments, and then that's it. AP. The New York Times.
Right. And this is where people get their news. They read
Conspiracy theories go beyond. The alternative facts to RFK is another New Yorker magazine.
And this guy's a Kennedy. He's a Kennedy. I mean, they used to just carry a name that you were supposed to vote for him because they were Kennedy, but he's too dangerous.
I mean, maybe this one, I've never heard of this great. I mean, if you're scrolling down.
Yeah, then you're getting into the
Great DC. We're still on the first page, but is RFK a real threat to Biden? Another CBS News condemned over false claims. That, like false claims. Okay. I mean, it goes down. You're like,
they've been attacking
it might be kind of even here, but
I don't know. Those headlines sounded awful biased to me when you started reading those out. Like the first
there's a few that there's nothing. Our AP News, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That's it. There's Atomic Habits, but I mean, I don't even know what these don't even like. The 7 Husbands of Elaine Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm like, what is this AP story? But maybe it's books or something. They're all books. They're all authors. So you're like, is it just, it's a weird Google search on who is.
Yeah.
So they're all like U.S. bestseller. I mean, that's a weird thing there. But
and none of them want a third party because they know the whole Ross Perot disaster of the 90s when, Republicans were slated to win. Ross Perot sucks just like 12 or 13% of the vote, and Bill Clinton gets elected, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to lose that power. They don't care what side they're on. They don't want that third party. He kind of represents that, I think. I think people are looking for that. They want it, and they're going to do everything in their power to suppress it.
Yeah, suppress it because I think he could easily unify the country if they let him talk. If they don't suppress it on social media, if they don't
allow him in the debates,
which I think is huge. Like Facebook, like if they don't allow him into the debates, all of that is just crazy. But
1992, last time we had a third party run.
Get out and do something, people. Get out and talk to your neighbor. Look for real news. Failure. Getting started, getting in shape. I think people think and see in their head the crazy fitness person. And they say, I can't do that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to be that person. But if you're just working, like Peter Attia, like we've talked about him, science, not just some gym guy saying, hey, but 90 minutes a week.
That's huge.
I think it's like 15% upping your life expectancy. But even regardless, like I'll take 1% and I do a little bit.
Right.
All the other benefits, just feeling better of getting out and working out. You don't need to do that much. Change some eating habits. You're going to be better for it. You're going to live longer. And I feel like people don't want to start because they don't want to make the change, but I think they also see like, oh, I'm not going to be you. Oh, I can't do that. So
I don't want to is the other one you hear.
Oh, I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to be doing it so much. It just takes those small little steps. Keep it simple. It doesn't need to look like the crazy fitness person. And try to eat on the outside of the grocery store. As much as you can.
You told me 20%. Just change 20%, Josh. That's all you got to do. Just 20%.
And it's gonna it's gonna add up. It's like stop drinking the soda. Stop drinking
beer.
Like any of it is gonna make a big change. But people are scared of failure. Did you have something, Jamie? What?
No, I was just gonna say I think people think they have to do all of that at once.
Right.
It's not. It's
just start working out. Mm-hmm. Just start walking. Just start trying to eat a little bit healthier.
Yeah.
I look stupid. I heard that one too from someone I'm close to, and I'm like, just go. Nobody cares if you look stupid. Everybody's so busy working out, they don't care what you look like.
Exactly. No one is looking at you or should be judging you. If they are, they're at the gym for the wrong reasons. So
yeah.
And if they
don't let that be an excuse that you don't get out and get active.
We have a good small community here. Find a small gym. That's the difference of going to a big gym versus finding a community of people that are supportive and want you to succeed, a coach that's going to help you. People need some help. Like even it's just like the motivation of you need to do, I don't want to do legs. I just want to work on my biceps. Somebody to mix up what you're doing in your workouts. That's where you get at a small gym Like, well, I can go. Yeah, you can go to the big box place and play freaking next to nothing, and that's what you get.
It's next to nothing.
Is next to nothing.
It's so easy to
versus
knock
coming
out.
to a small gym like Rocky Mountain, and you're getting that coach. You're getting somebody planning the workouts, trying to mix it up for you. So you're not always doing the same thing. Keep it interesting, but work on your technique. Hey, what you're gonna hurt yourself.
That's what I was going to say. Is when you got a small gym, you've got that coach watching. They can catch you before it becomes a problem, right?
Right.
And every one of the coaches here has always corrected me in the moment, right? They're great about it, and you're saving me from hurting myself. If you go to a big box gym, they may just look over and be like, they're going to get screwed up, and they go back to their phone.
Yeah,
they're
or
like,
it's like
hold on,
a
let me
business
put-
opportunity.
Yeah,
for
let me put
personal
that on, like,
trainers.
Right.
Let me
Yeah,
get put
on
that.
Instagram.
Oh, and now those people are, now it's whatever. Now,
But you walk over, Josh, don't take that too far. We don't want you hurting your rotator cuff.
oh God,
And then it saved me a lot of time and pain.
Yeah.
That's what you get with a small gym. So you get what you pay for.
yeah.
true.
I mean, I make fun. Joel just gave me crap for. He's like, the last 2 videos you put on Clear Sky, YouTube are me messing up, but he didn't realize one of them. There was the knife this week, and there's like, I didn't even know I did it. And I'm like, well, that's the title of it. Better to make the mistake in the gym. Or it was like one of the headlines. It wasn't the title of it, but you mess up in the gym doing self-defense, so you don't mess up there.
Right.
And you see that video, like, but the last video is like he was getting kicked in the groin. But I should have filmed the last night because he had the best movement in a fight drill, best distance. He was taking angles and he was transitioning, getting to good dominant angles. Showing some real good fight IQ. I'm like, fantastic. Here's a guy that's a red belt. Yeah, like that's looking like black belt movement in there. So like, there's your shout out, Joel. I might not get you on film. No, I could have, but after the fact, I'm like, that would have been a great one because I did, go, oh, Joel's gonna be mad at me because the last time
We love
it
Joel.
was
We're not
something.
making fun of you.
But he had fantastic movement, and that I could have picked up the phone for that to demonstrate. But it's good to see failure, and I think it's the TED Talks. I've talked about it, teaching girls to be brave. They want to be perfect. And failure is a part of the whole process. And people, I don't want to look stupid. That's part of it. Failing and messing up.
I get my butt kicked and I fail all the time.
Me too.
Yeah.
All the time. But I learn all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to fail. I use the story of touching our big wood stove in our house. Don't touch this. Don't touch it. It's gonna burn you. And I tell them like, I touched that sucker. My mom was right, but I failed, and I didn't listen to my mother. And and you learn really quickly by touching the hot stove.
Yeah.
It's a great way. I think people are afraid to look bad. Who cares? So what? That's part of the process. It's there. Train ugly is something that Todd Fossey and many others, talk about. It's okay. So many people like, oh, this video's got to be perfect. Who cares?
Just go.
Like, yeah, I messed up on that one. Oh,
Tell me all
well.
the time. Just go.
So don't be afraid to fail, whatever it may be. I'm gonna die. So who cares? Be afraid. Like, talk to your neighbor. Get out there and try to make a change. Because if you're a good person and you're just gonna sit by, evil is going to prevail because you sat by. So, guys, thanks for watching. If you want to support this channel, check out ClearSky-Online. Check out ClearSky.Training. That's our online portal. ClearSky-Online is where you can get the ClearSky Defender. You can buy a CERT training pistol, t-shirt and swag, and then we have Krav Maga-Online for all your Krav Maga and Rocky Mountain self-defense and fitness gear. That'd be a great way to support this podcast. All right, guys, get out there and do something. You're going to die. 3, 2, 1.